Okay, um, back on the Fixer of Broken Things YouTube slash TikTok slash wherever I put this. I'm recording with OBS Studio. Back in the day, uh, not that long ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I streamed on Twitch just a little bit. I was one of those tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who nobody ever watched. That's fine. Nobody may ever watch this. That's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about aquariums. So I've got a 40-gallon, they call it a 40-gallon breeder. It's wider, it's an 18-inch wide tank on the top of this stand. This stand is, you know, some end table, whatever that we got 20 years ago. And I was like, hey, I want to get back into aquariums. I consider myself an intermediate aquarist. I guess. I've been out of it mostly complete. I've been out completely for at least 10-ish years, although technically I did have a tank with fish in it when we moved 4 years ago. But I was really into aquariums in the late, wait, no, holy cow, that was longer ago than I thought. 89 through like 92. Yeah, I was thinking later, but the peak of my aquarium, oh, I'm not in the video, am I? Huh, okay, yeah, we'll see if somebody will edit this. The peak, probably the peak, I don't know. I actually don't remember all the details, so I'm not going to try to remember. I did not write a script. I just wanted to, the main reason I'm making these videos, I'm going to put up a series. I'm going to try to keep not rambling because I can ramble all day. I'm going to try to keep short, separate videos, but I'm getting back into aquariums. It's been a long time. When I was really into it, I was able to breed some jewel cichlids, one of the easiest fish to breed. I had a saltwater aquarium, not a fancy one, just fish. So I think intermediate is fair. I'm not a beginner, but I am also not an advanced. But I'm going to do something a little different. I've never had a canister filter or a sump filter, and I was going to go just canister. So if you see this setup here, I wish I had my video monitor where I could see it better. Um, I'm going with the sump. This 20-gallon long on the bottom is going to be a sump. I was going to go simple canister filter because I've never had one. And when I noticed, hey, the layout of this stand is such that I can put another tank on the bottom, I was like, hey, maybe I'll try a sump. So obviously that sump part isn't set up yet. That's a whole other thing. We'll go into another video. Right now, I wanted to get started. That's the other big thing. I'd never really done a lot of plants. I never really had a planted tank. I had a few little plants, a banana plant, some of the beginner stuff, real community tank, throw a plant in, that kind of deal. Never had a planted tank. So I decided I'm going to go plants mostly, a little bit of fish, but mostly plants. Haven't really done that yet. I'm going to use a sump, low flow. I'm not going to go the traditional route. These two setups that I'm going to show you with this series of videos are what I would call experimental. Again, I consider myself an intermediate aquarist, and so there's going to be some things I'm going to do that beginners should not do. Literally, you'll find a gazillion YouTube videos saying, here are 5 tips for beginners that you should never do. I might break some of those rules. I'm going to go low flow. People want to overload a new tank with fish. I get it. I was there 30 years ago. That's not what I'm doing. I'm going to have a planted tank here uh, on the top with the sump filter, a freshwater sump filter. The center's probably going to be, I don't think I can say this word right, refugium. I'm probably going to do that. I don't know. I'm going to experiment with the sump and do some different things on this one. I'll show you the other setup here in a minute. Actually, I'll probably do a separate video. Like I said, I'm going to try to clip these into shorter videos and not go on for 20 minutes rambling like a maniac. So sump, tank, planted tank, low flow. I'm not going to be pumping a gazillion water changes an hour. It's going to be a relatively slow flow. The top, I have an overflow box. I bought a nice one. Compared to 30, 35 years ago, I had to do everything DIY 100%. But I bought me a nice overflow box. It even is the one with the internal channel instead of the tube. My smaller setup over here, when I show that to you, it has a tube. But I've never had one of these. I paid, this was a reasonable price, but they're expensive. And so I'm going with that. I haven't decided which end. That overflow box is going to go on one end or the other. And then the opposite side will be the return pump back up into the tank. So the only thing that's going to break the tank barrier, the main tank barrier, is that overflow box. Heater's going to be in the sump. That's it. Overflow takes the water out of the tank. Sump does its filtering, all the various things you can do with the sump filter, and then we're going to pump the water back in the other side. That's it. You also may notice I painted. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos and all that stuff to get caught up the last 3 weeks. I decided to paint. One guy's like, hey, I paint my tanks. Okay, so I painted the display tank on the top here. The bottom and the back are painted black with a black enamel oil-based paint. And then the bottom with the sump, watching different people's ideas, I went with white. I just used a spray paint because I was getting lazy. And I didn't want to pay 18 bucks for another quart of paint. But I spray painted the back and the bottom white. And the reason I went with that was somebody said, hey, when my sump is lighter and brighter and has a white background, I can see the dirt and stuff that I know I want to get out, or see that, if it's building up. So that's why spray painted or painted display paint black. Of course, the bottom's going to be covered. But anyway, and the sump is white. I've started a couple plants, started looking at different plants. There's all these plants. I can order a gazillion plants off Amazon. I don't even have to go find a local fish shop, the whole 9 yards. But then there's like, hey, guess what? You can grow your house plants, certain ones obviously. But I only have a couple of house plants in the house. And one of them just happened to be this pothos, or however you say it. I got one that's like got a 20-foot, they just grow like weeds. They're hard to kill. So I took some snippings off and started those in some pots. So that's just so I could feel like, I got going, because everybody wants to get their fish in their tank. They do it too fast. I'm going to take my time. Plants take weeks, months, whatever anyways. But now I'm like, hey, there we go. I got started. I got 4 clippings on there. I'm going to look at probably a peace lily in the center of this top tank. Maybe for the centerpiece, a peace lily. I guess those do pretty good. You can plant them. And maybe some lucky bamboo. I know it's got a scientific name that's more accurate, but maybe a little bit of that on each side around the centerpiece. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But that's the big idea. I'm thinking Congo tetras. Again, I've had all kinds of different kinds of fish, community tanks, the whole 9 yards. Right now, unless I change my mind, this 40-gallon with these plants mostly planted, I'm thinking a single school of Congo tetras. Never had Congo tetras. They're larger. They're a larger fish, larger than your small neons and all that. How many ever. Again, not going to heavily load these tanks, but with this type of freshwater sump filter, I probably can build up to a pretty nice school. We'll see. That's a long way off. I'm not in a big hurry. But I did want to share I wanted to record and have down a way to express my thoughts. So that's my big plan. I got some lights. I got to get some more lights. I'm going to have 2 of these. Instead of going lengthwise with a single bar light. These LED lights are so nice compared to the old days with all the fluorescent garbage. This is great. I got two of these shorter ones that I'm going to go widthwise across on the top. I got one of them down below just for now until I ordered in another one. I did see somebody talking about that with the different refugiums videos and stuff that I watched. Some people are like, well, if you're going to have plants down there, you need light, right? And obviously you don't run it full strength all day long, but so I bought another smaller one that'll go down on the bottom, and then that second of this pair will go up on top. And I got the heater. The heater's going to go in the center section of the sump. Different people's tips. If you put it in the inflow and the inflow stops, your heater gets exposed. You put your heater in the outflow with the pump and the pump stops, and there you can expose your heater. Your center section, especially with plants in there, should be the section that doesn't run dry. So heater's going to go in the center. It's only a 100-watt heater, which is a little bit low for a 40-gallon plus how much, 10 or 15 gallons in the sump. But I've always kind of ran light on the heaters. Because I don't run hot tanks. I've never really done anything where I needed to run a hot tank. And it's a house, right? I'm in a house. I'm not in a fish room or whatever. Temperature's fairly stable. Anyway, so heater. I'm gonna go with the net on the top. Let's see, where'd that net stuff go? I got these clips. Yeah, again, I need to have my video monitor where I can see. But these clips are going to clip a netting over the top. I don't know where the netting is. The other setup, I'll talk about how I'm going to do that. I've gone way further ahead on that. I got kind of a different experimental way I'm going to do the other setup. That'll be a separate video. I don't have a return pump for this yet. I've got a little bit of the hoses and hardware for the overflow box, but not all of it yet. I got to work on that. But I think we're going to stop there for now, because most of the other stuff that I got is for my other setup, which is off camera over here. I'll do another video and show that setup. So that's all for now for this larger of the two setups that I'm getting back into aquariums with. Signing off.